Good morning and welcome to the 2025 All Advisory Body Briefing. My name is Kelly Ames and I'm the Deputy Director of the Pacific Fishery Management Council. Please note that this presentation is being recorded and will be made available on our website for future reference. To ensure the recording remains focused on the content, please keep your cameras and microphones turned off during the session. At the end of our presentation, we will stop recording and take time for some question and answer periods, at which point your microphones will be unmuted. Before we get started on our agenda, I'll turn it over to Executive Director Merrick Burden for some opening remarks and introductions.
Thank you, Kelly, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to our All Advisory Body Briefing on Council and Advisory Body Practices and Procedures. As many of you know, this is a meeting we do every 3 years in response to the Council's Advisory Body appointment process. And the purpose of this meeting is to introduce you to the basic foundation of Council process and our systems. That includes things like our expectations of conduct, our Council operating procedures. We'll have some discussion of roles and responsibilities within the Council process, but you'll be introduced to our platforms and systems, such as those that you'll use for expense reporting, joining webinars, and other things of this nature. If you've done this meeting before, you'll note that the format has changed a bit. My hope is that you'll find this helpful and informative. To kick things off, I'd like to start by first thanking each of you for your service. In my opinion, what sets our Council apart is the strong role of our advisory bodies. Given the geographic scale of our EEZ, the complex fisheries that we have, the millions of people that are affected by Council decisions, we literally couldn't do this without you. As a member of our advisory bodies, we will ask a fair amount of you, and we recognize that you are often asked to give up fishing time, time spent with friends and family, and that you do this as an act of service and as a way to give back to our fisheries and communities. So thank you. Before I turn things back over to Kelly, I want to take a minute to introduce our staff to you all. As a member of an advisory body, we as Council staff are here to help you, and we do so by structuring the Council process, setting up meetings, identifying meeting locations, managing the back-end administration, doing analysis of Council actions, acting as a facilitator of your meetings, and various other things. You'll also find that as Council staff, we like to get things done, and we share your passion for our fisheries. I don't think you can find another group of people that work as hard and as effectively as Council staff do. And again, we see one of our primary tasks as being here to help you do your job as an advisory body member. So thank you for participating in today's call. Please know that if you have questions after this call is complete, that we are here to help. And if you were to dial us, you would get one of the people that are up on the screen there in front of you. And once again, thanks. And back to you, Kelly.
Thanks, Merrick. I would also like to congratulate you all on your appointments to serve on a Council advisory body. The Council manages fisheries from 3 to 200 miles off the coast of Washington, Oregon, and California under the authority of the Magnuson-Stevens Fishery Conservation and Management Act. As Merrick noted, advisory bodies offer valuable insights and recommendations to guide the Council's decision-making process and subsequent recommendations to the National Marine Fisheries Service. Each advisory body is assigned a Council staff officer who is available to answer questions to your specific advisory body assignment and the fishery management plan that you serve. Today, I will provide an overview of the advisory body member responsibilities and expectations. Then Chris Kleinschmidt, our IT manager, will cover the platform's policies and procedures. At the conclusion of the presentation, we'll stay around for any questions and answers. Here is a screenshot of the Council website that details the responsibilities of Council staff. Throughout our presentation, you will see similar graphics demonstrating where information can be found on our website. Please take the time to familiarize yourself with our website. Our IT staff have done a great job making information accessible. Alrighty, let's move into our agenda, where we will first cover advisory body member responsibilities and expectations. We'll start with some opening remarks from Council Chair Brad Pettinger and Vice Chair Pete Hassemer.
All right. Thank you, Kelly, and welcome everyone. Really glad to have you all serving on the advisory panels for the council, and they're just so valuable to the council process. I'd just like to point out that remember that you are an ambassador for your fishery or sector, so it's important that you are respectful of everyone at the table. Having good relationships with your fellow advisory panel members are a key function to having productive input into the council process. I mean, really look forward to hearing from all of you at the start of the 2025 season here in March. So, just I'd like to point out that there's a term that goes around called the council family, and it sounds kind of corny to a certain extent, but a lot of folks around the table, if you're new to the council process, you might have a lot of strangers now, but I guarantee you before you leave that you'll know them quite well, and you really look forward to seeing them at the start of every council meeting. At least I would hope so. And it's just really good people around the table, great staff, and I just welcome you to the council. So thank you.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Kelly. Yeah. And I also want to welcome you to this council process and thank you for your commitment to the process. I think it's a very good, a powerful, and exciting process. I don't want to make it sound like it's all rainbows and butterflies and unicorns, because there's a lot of problems out there that we know about. For many of you, quillback, rockfish, salmon all come to mind. But I think it's a good and powerful process because we're directly involved in addressing those issues. And your input and involvement are critically important to solving those problems and resolving any of the issues. As Brad said, you're the ambassadors for the sectors you represent. I just want to frame up this council process that you're getting involved in, sort of in a factory production sense, and talk about outputs and outcomes. You're going to hear a lot in this process about the need for healthy ecosystems and sustainable fisheries. One example of that, at our March meeting, we have the California Current Integrated Ecosystem Assessment Report coming up. It's a really good and important report, but that focuses on the health of the ecosystem. But I view those two things, healthy ecosystems and sustainable fisheries, as output of our process. And the real outcome, the important piece, is achieving healthy and viable fishing communities across our entire coast. I think that's the big goalpost, is looking at the fishing communities, and they're very important. And in that process, then you represent, your involvement represents all the sectors that make up those communities. And that's why it's important to this process. Again, you're ambassadors for all of those sectors in the communities. And it's very important to this process. We have a very open and public process, but the public can't always participate. So we rely on the advisory bodies to compile and sort out a lot of this information. We rely on you to figure out what's happening, what's desired, what's needed out there in the community. When I started, I said, welcome to this council process, and you're going to find out this is a very big process. But as we go forward, I ask that you really respect that process and all the individuals engaged in that process. There's going to be a lot of discussion in meetings, but there's also a lot of hallway discussion and a lot of interaction outside of the meetings that occurs through this process. And, it's important, I think, as our chair, Brad, said, we're a family and we all work through this together. So I ask that, again, that you just, respect the big process with Kelly and Chris and everybody. They're going to go through this process, but you respect that and you respect everybody that has committed their time to this process. So again, I want to thank you for your commitment and look forward to seeing you in the future. And thanks. I'll turn it over to you, Kelly.
Great. Thank you for those opening remarks. The council operations are governed by several rules and procedures, which can be found on our website under the Navigating the Council tab. During this presentation, I will review the council operating procedures, which we refer to as the COPs, as well as the advisory body ground rules. Please take the time to review all of the rules on this webpage that apply to your service, some of which I will reference throughout the presentation today. The COPs are the primary reference for the day-to-day operations of the council and its advisory bodies. There are individual COPs that govern council operations, that's COP 1, as well as those that govern the operations of the advisory subpanels, plan, technical and management teams, the scientific and statistical committee, habitat committee, and more. Today, I will summarize some of the key requirements for advisory bodies that are outlined in the COPs. All right, admittedly, it might feel a little bit heavy to begin with discussing termination. After all, you've just been appointed. That said, you can think of these criteria as the essential standards to maintain your role and ensure long-term success as a council advisory body member. Each advisory body has specific termination criteria, but again, here I will reference the criteria for the advisory subpanel members. Please take the time to review the COP that applies to the particular advisory body to which you are appointed. For advisory subpanels, members can be replaced at the council's discretion if the member transfers employment or moves to a different location, is absent from 2 meetings in any 12-month period, appears unable to fulfill their obligations as a subpanel member, their experience is no longer required. Number 5, violates the rules of conduct for employees and advisors and contractors of regional fishery management councils. Now this document, I want to highlight the one in italics you can find on a rules and procedures page that I showed earlier in the presentation. Please familiarize yourself with this document and the associated requirements that apply to your service. Additionally, the council chair, in consultation with the executive director, can remove a member for just cause. Examples, which are not all-inclusive, include violation of a marine resource regulation, felony conviction, investigated reports of sexual harassment. This also includes removal of an advisory subpanel member who fails to adhere to proper decorum and show respect for council participants, as evidenced by rude and disruptive behavior and/or an unwillingness to refrain from abusive treatment or harassment of other council participants. Reports of such behavior should be made to the executive director or council chair so that the incidents can be properly investigated. As a council advisory body member, you are held to a high standard of conduct to ensure public confidence in the council process. You will be required to work collaboratively with a diverse range of stakeholders, including commercial and recreational fishermen, charter boat owners, processors, conservation groups, federal, state, and tribal fishery managers to address fishery management challenges. This complex and dynamic environment requires all of our council process participants to follow principles of meeting decorums and ground rules to maintain respectful dialogue. The advisory body ground rules can also be found on our rules and procedures page. The strength of our process relies on the diversity of opinions informing council actions, and the best way to ensure that all voices are heard is to abide by these simple and straightforward advisory body ground rules. Please familiarize yourself with these ground rules and be prepared to follow them during any council-sponsored meeting. Each advisory body has officers. Those are typically chairs, vice chairs, and sometimes co-chairs. Those individuals are responsible for upholding the council procedures, including the ground rules and meeting decorum provisions. They are also responsible for reporting their recommendations to the council. Reporting to the council. Given the diversity of perspectives on advisory bodies, there may be situations where advisory bodies have difficulty reaching consensus recommendations for council consideration. In these situations, it is best for the report to outline the points of agreement as well as the areas where opinions differ. This approach provides the council with the best information for decision-making. All of the meetings of the council and its advisory bodies are open to the public. Draft statements may not be distributed to the public or other council process participants without the permission of the advisory body chair. Final reports will be published and publicly available on the council website for all to see. Relative to meeting decorum, in addition to the ground rules, COP 1 outlines meeting decorum expectations, which are paraphrased on this slide. In sum, we expect advisory body members to be professional and respectful of anyone who engages in the council process. Additionally, harassment will not be tolerated. Individuals who experience or observe harassment are strongly encouraged to report to ensure a safe working environment for everyone involved in the council process. The council will not tolerate harassment or retaliation against those who report harassment. The Harassment Reporting Procedures Policy outlines the steps for reporting and investigating harassment claims. To find the harassment reporting procedures, go to the Navigating the Council tab and then click Rules and Procedures and the Harassment Reporting Procedures Policy. Attendance, alternates, and stipends. In addition to the meeting decorum expectations, the council expects that advisory body members will attend all meetings, though provisions provide for 2 absences per year, and in these circumstances, alternates may be approved. The COP for each advisory body outlines the process for requesting alternates. This slide contains the process for advisory subpanels. In sum, requests should be sent to the Deputy Director, which is me, and require the approval of the Executive Director. Requests must be received at least 30 days prior to the first day of the advisory body meeting or the first day of the council meeting held in conjunction with the advisory body meeting. I want to reiterate this 30-day requirement, particularly for those who have previously served on a council advisory body. During the COVID era, we waived the 30-day requirement and approved many alternates within the 30-day window. However, moving forward, we will be strictly enforcing the 30-day requirement. This is essential to ensure a smooth onboarding process for the alternate and to avoid the significant costs associated with last-minute travel arrangements. Stipends. Subject to the availability of appropriations, stipends may be paid to members of advisory bodies who are not employed by the federal government or a state marine fisheries agency. Stipends are based on attendance records, and individuals requesting stipends must respond to the council staff inquiries and submit the required forms in a timely manner. Travel. Meeting invites, which constitute your official travel orders, are sent by council administrative staff from a NOAA.gov account. Please read the email and the attachments as they provide important information. Please also respond in a timely manner, but no later than the deadline contained in the memo. Here is an example of the advisory body invite for the March 2025 meeting, which is scheduled to be sent later this week. So don't panic if you haven't seen this yet. This is a preview of what will be coming later this week. The invite contains the list of advisory bodies authorized to travel under council funds. It also includes the hotel address and a quick reference guide to the council and committee agendas. The invite also contains the per diem rates, which are the amounts eligible for reimbursement. Lastly, the invite includes the authorized travel dates by advisory body, including footnotes regarding the meeting start times and the process to request an extended stay should travel logistics not allow for same-day travel. I want to make sure that folks are really honed in on this footnote. It is often one that is missed. Not all of our meetings start at 8 a.m., so you can find the time for your committee start time in either the quick reference or by looking at this footnote in the meeting invite. Reservations. The meeting invite also includes a link to a JotForm where you can request your hotel reservation. This is a graphic of the JotForm that we're using for the March council meeting. Note at the top of the JotForm is the deadline by which you must submit your request for a hotel reservation. If you do not make the deadline, it is possible that accommodations may not be available. The travel and reimbursement rules can be found on the Council's website, again, under the Navigating the Council tab, and then Travel and Reimbursement Procedures. I will not read to you all of the travel rules, but I will highlight a few common travel situations. If your trip has already started, you must seek permission from the administrative officer, Patricia Herring, to make changes to your itinerary. If you prefer to drive your own vehicle instead of fly, or to stay in a different hotel other than the hotel the council has arranged, you must seek permission in advance, and Patricia will conduct a cost comparison. Reimbursement will be made at the greatest financial advantage to the council, which means we will only reimburse you for the lowest cost option. On to platforms, policies, and procedures. And with that, I'll hand things over to Chris.
Thanks, Kelly. Today we're going to go over the 3 pillars of resources that you will be using as you have your time here with the council. First, we'll be navigating the website, which Kelly's done an excellent job starting off with. We're going to dive into a few other aspects of the website that you should be familiar with. So this is our home page, and at the top, you'll notice that we have an upcoming council meeting and a previous council meeting section. This is to make it top of mind, easy to access for the most recent meetings. And then beyond that, you can drill down into more details for each of those specific meetings. We will put quick access links associated with these meetings below, and those will drive you to the different documents that we post associated to the meetings. And then if you have the need to look at either upcoming meetings or previous meetings, you can expand the council meetings menu item on the left and navigate to those locations as well. It's important that to note that clicking on the meetings details link on the council meeting section will take you to the dedicated meeting page for that specific meeting. And that's where you should start all of your meeting preparations, because we will provide all the details for various briefing book items, travel, etc. for that meeting all on that specific page. This is an example of that page. So this is a dedicated meeting page, and in this example, it's for the September 24 council meeting. You'll notice that the top has the meeting dates, the location, deadlines for things like public comment and reports. as well as a series of tiles below that are going to take you to various aspects of the meeting, such as the agenda or the e-portal for our public comments. This is where you'll access your briefing book materials, and then there's always a how-to and FAQ section. Selecting the briefing book icon will take you to the dedicated page for that, and those are posted in advance of the council meeting once the deadline has passed. The briefing book page is your one-stop shop for all of the items related to the council meeting, and where you'll find most up-to-date information. Anytime that we have a revision or a replacement of a document, it's always done there, so that is where you should be consuming all of your briefing book content. The e-portal for public comment is also linked within that briefing book page, and you can navigate there to look at any public comments that have been submitted during the open comment period, as well as signups for our oral testimony period. In an effort to be more green and reducing shipping costs and staff hours, the council has gone paperless, so all briefing book materials are electronic only on that briefing book page. Scrolling down the home page a little further, you will see that we have a recent news and an upcoming events section. The recent news is a grouping of announcements and upcoming events, such as meetings that may have been scheduled into the future. Whereas the upcoming events section is a list of meetings, the next 5 meetings that come up chronologically on the calendar. So an example of the difference between these is you might see that we posted in July 31st for a September council meeting, but at the time of this posting, maybe there was more meetings ahead of it that would show up on the upcoming events section. So both are important. The one on the right for upcoming events, it really just drives you to the most recent events or the most upcoming events that we are hosting. There's a view calendar link at the bottom of the page, and this is going to take you to the council's calendar. This is where you will find hyperlinks to those events. So should you know an event is coming up outside of the first 5 that are on that previous page, you can go to our calendar to get to the meeting details there. The calendar is also accessible at the top right-hand corner of every page on the website, as well as under expanding the news and events section. So there's multiple ways to get to our calendar. By selecting one of the calendar entries, it'll take you to the event page for that event. So in this example, this is the Ad Hoc Ecosystem Work Group event. And you'll notice that we have the ability to add it to a calendar. So you can use that function to add it to your own calendar. It'll also have the details for such things as the Ring Central meeting ID, if it's a hybrid or virtual only meeting. It's where we're going to post our meeting materials for that event and where you can get all the pertinent information for details related to each event that we host. Back to the home page, if you expand the council meetings menu item on the left and then drive down to previous meetings, you'll see a listing of all previous meetings with the location, the date range, and a series of hyperlinks underneath each meeting that indicates kind of our key documents. So when a meeting wraps, the decision summary document, the recordings from that meeting, the meeting agenda, and the transcripts are kind of our high-touch documents so that you can go back and see what the outcomes of that meetings may have been. As time goes on and we finish the transcripts, you can see in the example below in April, the transcripts links is added, and that's so that you can go through and read through the dialogue if that's something you need to do for some research. So those quick links are for you to jump directly to those items. However, if you select the meeting itself, it will also take you to the dedicated page, such as in this example, the March meeting will take you to the dedicated page where those same links will be in those tiles below, including some additional links that don't show on that primary page. The meeting recording section will take you to our council YouTube page. And the council started doing YouTube recordings a number of years ago as a means to go back and re-listen to a specific meeting day. If you go to that meeting page's link, it will take you to the playlist for that meeting. You'll also see that each day's proceedings are available for anybody to listen to at the end of each day. We try to quickly get them up and also add the details for that day's timestamps, as you'll see here in a moment. So to select a specific day, you simply select it from the playlist, and that will start the meeting recording for that day. You can jump to other days within the playlist to the right, and down below you'll notice that there's a button that says More. By clicking that and expanding it, you will see the timestamps for each agenda item. So if you were only looking to go back to a specific day to, for example, listen to C2 salmon management, you can click on that hyperlink, which will jump you into the recording to that section. And it's a very handy way to go back and listen to the sections that are pertinent to you. Beyond that, on the home page again, the FMP navigation section is shown when you expand council meetings, or excuse me, fishery management plans, and our main FMPs are listed there, and underneath each of them you will find additional details. So by expanding the fishery management plan menu, you'll expose the subpages. They have dedicated landing pages for each of those FMPs, and all of the content specific to that FMP can be found in that one area. We also offer a fast facts and a social media presence. The council produces a tool called Fast Facts, which is basically a web page that's dedicated to that upcoming meeting. It's going to include the top 4 to 5 pieces of information that you would need to know to arrive smoothly at that council meeting. Things like the Wi-Fi information, the location of the meeting, if there's a shuttle available, those kind of details. We also utilize a platform called MailChimp for our e-blasts. So you can sign up for our MailChimp distribution if you haven't done so already. And this is an e-blast so that you'll get an email notification anytime we send out any announcements or information related to the things that we do here at the council. We also have a presence on Facebook and formerly Twitter, also now known as X. There's 2 Twitter feeds. The first is the Pacific Council feed, and this is intended just for general updates and announcements for things that we do here at the organization. And those are things that we also post to our Facebook. And then there's a separate Twitter feed that's specific to just the agenda when we're at a council meeting. And so that one's great if you utilize this platform. We post when we move on to the next agenda item. So if you're maybe working in your advisory body room and you're waiting to go on the floor to listen to that agenda item or maybe participate, you can use this feature to track our movement if we're either ahead or behind on the agenda. That covers the highlights of our website. Next, we're going to dig into Ring Central. So Ring Central is the platform that we're meeting on right now. It is a virtual meeting platform similar to Zoom and others that exist in the marketplace, and it's the one that the council uses for all of our meetings. The biggest things to point out is there's 2 separate platforms. One is called Ring Central Video. That is the one that we're using currently for this meeting, and what you will use for most meetings that you do on a day-to-day basis. And then there's another platform called Ring Central Webinar, and those are the ones that we use specifically for council meetings. It's laid out a little bit differently for general members of the public to join and stay segregated from the conversation. It has a series of other additional feature sets and also a higher capacity for how many attendees can be on at one time. So again, you'll be using this Ring Central Video for more of your day-to-days meetings, and then you can join from various devices such as laptops, desktops, tablets, smartphones. You can even join in a web browser without any installation. It is recommended, however, for best practices to install it if you can on your device, just because it stays patched and seems to work the most reliable. Furthermore, on the website, we have a how-to and frequently asked questions page. So if you expand our resources menu on the left, the how-to and FAQ is there. It's also a tile that you'll see on every single dedicated council meeting page that will drive you to the same location. This is where we put detailed instructions on things like how to join our meetings using Ring Central, how to sign up for oral testimony, for example, or maybe give a written public comment. It has different instructions for things like submitting a PowerPoint or other visual aid if that's something you're going to be doing during the council meeting. And it also will link you to some of our other FAQs and travel details. Joining the meeting remotely was the big one that we drove a lot of traffic to, especially as we were going through the COVID era and getting more used to these online virtual meeting platforms. However, most people these days are pretty comfortable with where we're at. This screenshot here is an example of the Ring Central video platform. So you'll notice the controls are at the bottom. Let me go back there, excuse me. So muting and unmuting, starting your video. If screen share is enabled, you'll see that there. There's also a chat function. And if you expand the more button, it is also where their hand raise icon is. This platform does look a little bit differently on a Mac versus a PC. This is a PC screenshot that you're seeing here. But generally speaking, they're very, very similar and common to almost every other platform on the market today. If you expand the little uptick arrow next to your microphone, that's where you're going to find things like the ability to change microphone sources. So if you have a headset, for example, or maybe it's a laptop and the microphone's built into the lid of the laptop, you can adjust those settings here. There's also a audio settings button at the bottom of that list, and that's where you can go in and test your microphone ahead of time. These are all handy things to do before you get started on your meeting so that we don't have the dreaded, can you hear me now? Switching to a phone call is also an option if you are having technical issues. Selecting that option and typing in your phone number, the system will call you. So that's another good feature that this platform offers. If you're giving a presentation during a meeting, the enable screen share functionality will appear at the bottom versus having a lock icon on it. And you simply need to click that box that says share, select the screen. If you have multiples, in my example, I have 3 monitors, I would select screen 1. And then from there, I then need to select the share button in the bottom right to enable screen share, and that will start the screen share for this particular example. Once again, the reactions button is either shown at the bottom of the controls, or sometimes there's a more button that the reactions button is hidden behind. That's where you're going to find things like the hand raise feature. And there's also other emojis that can be used as well. By clicking the participants tab, you'll be able to pull up the participants list for the meeting, and that'll also show you who else is on the meeting. There's a chat functionality also built into that same tab that you can toggle in between. So once again, to reiterate, we have RingCentral video for more of your day-to-day meetings, and then the RingCentral webinar platform for our council meetings. And the biggest difference there is we can separate our participants from the attendees, so that the participants are the people listening to the council meeting remotely. The attendees are the ones that are actively participating, perhaps giving public comment, for example. So unless you're given a special link to join the participant side, you will always join as an attendee by default. And then we can provide the ability for us to promote you up. So let's say you are remote for a meeting. Let's say your group has wrapped for that particular meeting, but you need to read the report at the end of the week. You can join as an attendee, use the hand raise function, or email us to get our attention that you need to be promoted up, and we can enable your microphone so that you can give your reports. And this is how we manage all of our hybrid meetings without the interruption of people joining and maybe leaving with microphones muted or unmuted. All right, and the final component that we'll cover today is the Concur system. So Concur is what we use for our reimbursement for travel. It's our expense claim system. And this overview today is not going to be an all-inclusive how to file one. We have videos for that, but it's just going to show you the highlight reel of what you need to know for getting reimbursed for travel. So the council uses Concur as a platform for booking our travel and managing reimbursements. You will need to set up a profile and attach a bank account for the deposits of your reimbursements to be made into. And booking travel can also be done within this platform, which by default will charge the travel to the council credit card versus your own. You're also welcome to book your own travel and just wait for reimbursement if you prefer to do that. There is a Concur app that you can do, you can have on your smartphone or tablet, and I found it to be a handy tool for snapping photos of receipts while you're on the road so you don't have to hold on to them. However, my experience has been it is not the easiest to do your full claim through the app. I would recommend using the website instead. If you visit our main website, and Kelly had alluded to this earlier, and you expand the navigating the council section, travel and reimbursement Concur is listed at the bottom. That's where the travel rules that she talked about earlier is located, as well as instructions for setting up your multi-factor authentication, which is required by Concur if you run into problems there. It also has some videos that will walk you through how to file an expense claim. And those are the videos there. So the expense claim process can be done pretty quickly, actually. And so we put together a series of videos that kind of take you step by step on how to file different aspects of the claim. Concur recently did update their website, so the look of the video does not quite match what the current website looks like, but all the steps are fairly similar, and we will be updating our videos to match the current layout here shortly. And then finally, as Kelly said at the beginning of this presentation, we are here to help you. We are your resources if you get stuck with something or you need some help finding something on our website. So please don't hesitate to use the Contact Us feature on our website. It's at the top right-hand corner of every web page you can go to, as well as under the Navigating the Council. It provides you a list of all the staff that we have here at the Council, our phone numbers and email addresses, and our areas of responsibility, so that hopefully we can get you to the direct person to help walk you through anything that you might need some assistance with. With that, I'll hand it back to Kelly.
Great. Thank you, Chris. And thank you, everyone, for your time and attention today. For next steps, please take the time to familiarize yourself with our website and the platforms that Chris just covered. Please also reach out to the staff officer assigned to your committee if you have questions specific to your advisory body assignment or the fishery management plan. If you have not yet returned your intent to serve form, please sign and return the form as soon as possible. Please also monitor your inbox closely and respond to council staff inquiries as soon as possible. And as a reminder, emails from council staff will include a noaa.gov email address. As we noted at the beginning, this meeting was recorded and will be posted on our website for future reference. We will now be ending the recording, but staff will remain on the line for any questions or follow-up discussions you may like to have regarding the presentations today.